So it just, I said to somebody before, it looked like a bad script and a poor movie, and
Yep.
that's how it turned out to be.
Well, I said that within the first 5 minutes after
Yeah,
listening to the judge and everybody else who was nearby. I didn't want to mention it to the family. I was speaking to mostly Dutch people, but
yeah.
like the father, mother, sister, etc. of our lawyer and some other relatively neutral Dutch people, we all said the same thing. This is not going right. This judge has already decided what's going to happen.
Going back to the day in question, was there not royalty at a presentation in the big palace that was opposite the square?
There was indeed, and that's something which has not been discussed widely. In fact, not even in the Dutch media is that being discussed.
Right, that's confirmed, that's definite, yeah?
That's 100% definite. We even have video footage of the king standing outside the palace at the same time. Well, sorry, just before then, two ladies being interviewed who say, "Oh, there's a big riot going on the other side. It's like war." No,
what
we
did,
have
what
that.
did they do? Roll their sleeves up and get involved, or?
No, they were just see that. That's the other side of the palace where the people come and go. Is on the New South Harbour wall. It's kind of not the Dam Square side of the palace,
Yeah,
but
opposite
the other
side.
side of the building. But I have confirmation from, a journalist confirmed it for me through the Dutch Association Press, basically, that the agreed time for the ceremony was between the hours of 4 and 6. I don't know with any degree of certainty what time they actually left. However, indications are that they were due to leave at 6. Dam Square was empty at 5 too. So that is a extremely weird coincidence, particularly in view of the fact that we know that the head of state was there, his wife was there, an ex-prime minister was there. I'm still waiting on getting a list of who else was there, but in all probability, a number of people, perhaps even at government level, were inside that building at the time all of this was going down, which is, at minimum, a very strange coincidence, even for a conspiracy theorist like myself.
Well, could it have been because if the royal family's exiting the other side, could it have just been that the police felt the high visibility over here, they'll not see us, nobody will see the ones that might upset them, and they would get away?
I don't think that's relevant, because bear in mind that there are tram stops, there are buses, there are people heading in that direction in order to travel even to the match or to an Irish pub, which is only like a couple of 100 metres away. So the fact that happened behind is, how should you put it, there would have been fans moving back and forth on both sides, no matter what. Does that make sense? Maybe not.
No, but there was. I think you're right, Carol, in the respect that there was a constant movement of people, and you've got to remember as well, there was tourists and everything in there as well.
Absolutely.
There was all sorts of people. It's just it's a very, very, very busy area, and it was more densely populated because of the number of Celtic fans there. But there was all sorts of people from every walk of life all floating through.
I was watching I actually left the office about 5 o'clock, where I'm actually sitting in the office right now, and I was watching the Dam Square webcams, Celtic fans, and that up until about 5 o'clock, it was like you see lots of there's a kind of cluster which is moving around in the middle, but there's all sorts of little bits going out and back and forth, and guys going to get what it was, and that's basically what that area is constantly in flux. It's not. They're not all just standing there,
So is there other webcam pictures of what happened next?
Well, I know the lawyer has requested them, but nobody's seen them yet.
Sorry, Carl, I just kind of cut in there.
Sure.
The legal team that we've appointed,
Christian Fisher.
No, he's not ours. He's the lawyer for the defendants.
Apologies.
Sotimans are the legal team that we've got. They've requested all the CCTV footage for all round square on the day, so that now can't be destroyed. So it can't be a case of 28 days has passed, data protection, it all goes. That's all now been held. So that'll tell us a lot.
Apologies. I got that message from Christian, and I'd assumed that it was relevant for everybody, but
Oh no, I mean, listen, it might well be Christian. Christian also asked for it as well.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we've asked for
Sure.
all of the CCTV to be retained.
There's an extra one, by the way, that the guys in the Euro pub on the corner told me about. In
Yeah,
fact,
that's right.
they've mentioned that twice. A tip.
Yeah.
The souvenir shop footage. And
I know that they've got some stuff as well. So I think that we're are again, Sotomans are going to obtain that as well.
that's good.
You know, when they come up to the appeal, what grounds are they going to do the appeal on? You any idea?
I don't. Ralph, I've got no idea at the moment. I know that the boys met up with Christian Visser last night at Celtic Park, and I met some of them this morning, and they said that their discussions were productive and they felt they were all positive. But in terms of the overall content, I don't know, to be honest.
Because again, if they'll need more evidence, obviously, to show that the police either overreacted or that the defendants weren't involved. And the video evidence should do that. But if they just go back and say, no, we didn't, and the police stands up and says, aye, we did, and it goes the same way, then we'll get the same result. And that worries me a wee bit, having been on the end of a few ridiculous decisions in my time.
I think that, I think as Carol said, I think my very, very crude interpretation of the Dutch law is that if you go for a fast track trial, you kind of waive your rights to detailed evidence and detailed reports. I think it's generally kind of offered for what they would consider minor offences where you're in and out, and it's did you do it? No, I never. I did because we seen him doing it. Or did you? Right, okay, you're the police, right? So we believe them. We don't believe you. It's €100 fine, and away you go. Obviously, in this circumstances, it's a lot more serious than that, and I think that having gone to appeal, and certainly at least in two of the cases, I believe Podrick's and Andrew Vance's case, they'll be offered a full trial, so they will get the chance to put forward detailed evidence, and there will be witnesses and people will be cross-examined, and it would be more like a case that we would see in the UK. But for the fast track, I think it's very much it's an in and out, and then if you're not satisfied with the outcome, you get the chance to appeal.
I think it sounds pretty much like the difference between a magistrate's court and Crown Court in this country. If you go to a magistrate's, it's pretty much laymen that are looking at it, and they very often don't get to look at the details until the morning of the trial. When you go to Crown, obviously there's a bigger time period between when they decide you're going to Crown, and you then get professionals looking at the case. Now, from what you've just said, and from what I've learned about courts, shall we say, I think what will happen now is that it'll be looked at in greater detail, and I think, and I'm hoping that I'm not jumping the gun here, but I think you'll probably find that the charges will get dropped. That's what I'm hoping for, and I think that's probably how the legal team will probably play it. I think
that's certainly the hope, but I think it's also not unrealistic because basically the guys have been, how can you, it seems a bit weird to me, and I'm not a legal expert, how can you send guys to prison for 2 months or guys to prison for 6 weeks if the only evidence you have is police statements and nothing else, and police statements which were possibly, you can't point.
Believe me, it can happen.
Police statements some of which were dated long after this happened, and long after some of the video footage came to light. So for them to be sent to prison on that and that alone, I would think, I'm only going on based on the fact that this is a high-profile thing. I think I'd be extremely surprised if they could firm up that charge without providing some more evidence other than what two psycho hooligan cops say, Yeah,
I think now that it'll be looked at by professionals in depth, I think they've got a far, far greater chance of the truth coming out and them getting, what do you call it, admonished? No, that's shouted at. Acquitted. That's the word I was looking for.
But I think as well as the boys that obviously have been up in face trial, and the two lads that were remanded for 2 weeks, you've also got numerous other cases of where people have been badly treated in terms of facing assault, wrongful arrest, and we've even got one incident of another supporter who was run over by a police truck. He's got a broken foot. He'll be in cast for 9 weeks. He potentially will be in traction for 6 of those. And there's long-term implications for that boy. All of that can't be lost either. And these are the things that we're pushing on through Sotomans. I was in touch with the people at Sotomans again at the weekend, and they've advised that they are now at a point where they'll be starting to contact the people that we've sent the details of. In total, we received probably just over 200 complaints about what happened on the day in Amsterdam. From that, we've sent on, I think, maybe about 30 cases where we believe that potentially people have got a right to some form of recompense, but certainly their cases should be fully investigated, and that's where we're going with that as well. So as well as I'm saying the 5, the 6, because one other man was acquitted as well, but he had to go through a terrible time before he actually got his acquittal, and that was unfair as well. So everybody that was affected by that, we believe that the people that we've got acting on our their behalf will give them the best form of representation, and hopefully get the truth at the end of all of this for them.
I think that's excellent. Yeah, I think that's excellent.
I do think actually, and I know I'm biased. I think the problem is that we haven't had the truth. I think there's now a fight in the House to fight. This case is now being tried in the mainstream media in Holland. There are conflicting stories coming up every day. We have the mayor of Amsterdam today and yesterday in the newspapers basically blaming Celtic fans. So there is a kind of trial in the public eye. And I think, for me, the bottom line is very, very simple. I have yet to see a single explanation as to what would cause even a couple of hundred drunken Celtic fans to suddenly start being violent towards the police. I think the spark of it doesn't lie with the people who are actually being charged for crimes. I think the spark for it lies elsewhere. And as I think it was John Quigley said in court, that the police, the Amsterdam authorities, have very badly mismanaged this thing from the beginning.
That's absolutely the correct statement, and my interpretation of it as well, Carol, to be honest with you. That would never have happened. If come across the square and said, we want to clear the square, even through loud-tailers, we now want to clear the square and move people down the dam rack, there would have been no problem. The Celtic fans that were there were not looking to cause trouble. Absolutely not. And I think the key point that you mentioned there, Carl, is absolutely correct. They were the spark. It was the Dutch police that caused what eventually took place.
Was it not a story that the mayor actually said that he wanted to clear the square, or he's supposed to have ordered the police to clear the square?
No.
Did that not appear over in the Netherlands somewhere, no?
I know, haven't seen that one, but I'm trying to get to possible. It's possible, and it's pure speculation that there might have been an order coming from the palace. We can't rule it out without knowing who was actually there.
Can I ask a quick couple of questions just from an outside point of view? John Paul, has there been any involvement? I know you'd touched on the consulate at the start of it, but has there been any involvement with either the Scottish Government or the UK Government that you could discuss? Have they been of any help or hindrance with all this?
I'm not aware of any at the moment, Pop, except for one thing that I believe that, is it a Scottish minister called, is it Nicola McMahon? I think her name's Nicola McMahon, and this came to me today via the Celtic Trust from Jeanette, that she has raised a question either through the Scottish Parliament or Scottish Questions, that she has asked for it may well be a parliamentary inquiry as to what exactly the Scottish police's involvement was in Amsterdam on that particular day. So we maybe learn a bit more from that, but other than that, I'm not aware of any other political intervention at all, no.
Okay, and how do these kind of affairs work out UEFA-wise? Do they just kind of stand aside and say it's nothing to do with them once it's outside the ground? Or is it a case of wait and see the full repercussions before they kind of look at it all?
No, they generally take account of fan behaviour in and around the stadium and in the city and stuff like that. So they certainly haven't been in touch with us that I'm aware of with regards to the game in Amsterdam. Obviously, we know about the fine for the Ajax fans for their banner, but other than that, I'm not aware of anything further from UEFA at this point in relation to that game.
Well, we've got Carol there. Carol, is there anything else you'd like to cover with John Paul?
John Paul, I do appreciate the the feedback you're giving us, but and I'm in direct contact with Jeanette and the others, and there's a couple of issues floating around